HW, back. Well, hello there. Mahalo. How you doing? Hey now, in honor of all the greats. Reverb. This is my rant for Reverb right now. You guys are criminals. You've completely lost your mind. I want to absolutely call you out right now. I hope you see this video. What you're borderline scamming people right now. Listen, I want to say something. I just used Reverb Wallet for the first time. My money is stuck on their platform. I sold $2,000 worth of 500 series, like Heritage Audio 1073 type things. You know, sold it, paid the fees, whatever. I got my money and a pedal too. And I go to take my money out and I can't. Oh, HW, caveat on poor. Didn't you read the fine print? No, I didn't. And let me say something. I'm willing to accept some stupid tax. But what you guys are trying to pull is absolutely ridiculous. And let me explain why. Because you think I'm just upset about the money. I'm not. You're being ridiculous. Let me tell you, as a longtime Reverb customer, I remember when there were Reverb payments, and I remember when you could keep money on the platform. And I remember when if you paid with money on the platform, you received some sort of a bonus so that it incentivized you to stay on the platform. Now, the company since sold to Etsy. They did away with that. Whenever you sold something on Reverb, your money went right to your bank account. Now with this new Reverb wallet, I thought, oh, they're bringing that back. That's cool. And I used to do this all the time. I used to sell a couple $1,000s worth of gear, and I'd take off like 2/3 of it, keep it, and then I'd be like, oh, I'll leave some money there because I buy stuff on Reverb all the time. And I get that's what they're trying to incentivize. But they gave me 1% off my listing fee, and now my money's stuck up there. There's no way to take it off. My best bet is to sell something on Reverb, buy something on Reverb with that money and then sell it again. Look, I realized that there was probably some fine print I didn't read, but if you're going to tell people use this Reverb wallet and we're going to incentivize you to stay on here, but your money's stuck forever, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, you need to have a big caution sign. Because as I said, I'm a longtime customer. You had a policy, you had a program that was so similar to this, and I used to use it all the time. I would leave my money on the platform and buy stuff and then just take it out later if I needed it. I wanted to take this money off the platform. Too bad. You agreed to Reverb Wallet when it sold. And you know what? I'm lucky because I had another item sell and that person immediately regretted it and asked for a refund. If I didn't have this happen, if I didn't notice and that guy didn't ask for a refund, I'd have about $4,500 stuck on the platform right now. Reverb, listen, I understand you gave me 1%. You gave me $20 off of my listing fees to accept payment this way. I'm happy to pay that back. I'm fine even if you say, hey, this program incentivizes you to leave money on the platform. We want you to use it, or we want to collect more fees. I get that. I'm a very reasonable pro-business person. I run a business myself. I'm even fine if right now you told me, hey, because you did Reverb Wallet, there's a 3% fee to now take it off out of your bank. I'd be fine because that'd be like charging a credit card. And you know what? I'm willing to eat my stupid tax. I really am. I'm willing to eat my stupid tax. But you guys saying there's no way to take this money off the platform is, and me as a customer, it's my first time using it. You just rolled it out and it looks just like a policy you had before. I don't give a shit why you had the policy and then you got rid of it, you sold to Etsy and now you're back. I'm a customer who uses reverb.com. I don't care who your shareholders are. I don't care any of this, okay? I'm a customer who uses your service. I recognize the value of your service. I use it. Look up my account. You wish you had hundreds and thousands of more customers who buy and sell as much as I do on Reverb. And it's completely unreasonable that there's money on the platform and I can't even pay a fee to take it off. I'm happy to give you the 1% back, the $20. I'm happy if you say, and we got to charge you another fee. I'm happy if that would be a total cost to me right now of $80. Total cost to me though, because I wouldn't get the $20 incentive. Total cost is $60 to me. I'm fine with that. Man, I'm fine with that. I'd go, whoops, I pay A. And I would not be making a video about that. But what if I was someone who needed this money right now? What if I was a musician who needed this money to pay my rent, to pay my kids, soccer, whatever, league, right? To pay my child support, to do whatever, to make a car payment? That's a lot of who's on Reverb, by the way. You guys roll out something, all of a sudden it goes, can you bet? And I'm supposed to read this fine print. No, you need to put it right in front of everyone's face and say, hey, just so you know, instead of us putting in the large print at the top, you're going to save 1%. It's easier. Get your money faster. Get more money soon. Instead of putting that, put, hey, by the way, you are not going to be able to take that. I've never even seen that anywhere else. I've not seen, eBay doesn't have anything like that. No, other marketplaces do not have. I've not seen this policy anywhere else where if you accept, I've seen policies where if you accept a certain payment, you leave the money on the platform, you're incentivized to keep it there. I've seen it where if you use, I believe what Reverb had before was if you left your money on the platform and you paid with Reverb bucks or whatever, what they used to have, if you paid with those dollars, you'd be incentivized. You'd save like some money on the listing, or you'd get some money back. They'd like rebate you the 40 bucks. You know what I'm saying? So you saved it on the buyer's end to keep it there. Now it's if you're selling and you're willing to accept this Reverb payments, then we'll incentivize you on the seller. It makes no freaking sense, you bunch of morons. Look, this is more than $60 in bad will, you numbskulls. What the hell is wrong with you? God. I'm not even mad that you're dishonest. I expect people to be dishonest and a little bit usury. I do. I'm not upset. It's a lack of empathy for people. I'm upset because you're such freaking morons. You can't understand that it doesn't matter if your costs are going up. It doesn't matter what the listing fees are. It doesn't matter any of that. Just put on whatever the listing fees need to be for you to make money, for you to make more money. It doesn't matter. But you don't want to have policies that piss people off. That's when people go, you know what, screw it. I will do. I have set up a website called Tone Junkie Vintage where I sell my stuff direct. I'm a small business who does not sell gear, but I sell some of my stuff direct on Tone Junkie Vintage. I set that up because Reverb has screwed me with other things in the past where I basically sent something to somebody, it broke, and Reverb said, tough. We did our investigation and, you didn't, and that was really more on UPS than it was on Reverb. But I said, you know what, I'm not shipping this way. And I insured it, and they said, no, sorry, you didn't pack. And it's like, what are you talking about? My packing was like, great. Anyway, I had to eat some money there. But I went and set up a website. I've processed an amount of money through there, through my own website, that and what's it cost me? It cost me about $500 a year to set up that website and do the merchant processing and stuff and do all that stuff, right, with Squarespace. Had I not done that, if I had put 1/3 of those items I've sold there on Reverb, Reverb would have made more money than I ended up paying Squarespace. And I'm just saying I did that. They drove me off the platform before. I've slowly come back and started, selling stuff. I'm a buyer on Reverb, and through this time I've been a buyer only. And my first experience back selling, they throw this little program in front of me that looks just like something they used to do. And I get it. I'm being reasonable about this, you guys. This isn't me bitching about, oh, HW, now you didn't read the fine print. No, I'm saying I didn't read the fine print, and I'm fine paying a stupid tax. But the stupid tax should not be, you can't have your $1,900. It's $2,000 with the pedal, but it's not, and I wouldn't even care about that $100 pedal I sold. And then it's $19 from this other piece of gear I sold, and it's all stuck up there. I wouldn't care about the $100. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't make this video, except my other stuff is sitting up there unsold. I had a buyer basically kick the tires on a guitar. I'm kind of grateful he did now, but that's frustrating too. Because the guy paid for something and then decided he didn't want it and then said I didn't answer a question. And it's like, dude, you paid for it after. I didn't see your question, but you paid for it after that your question wasn't answered. You could have just asked the question again. I would have answered it for you. The answer is it's an amazing guitar that I bought for $2,800 that I was trying to sell for 22 or 21 because no one's buying right now. So I'm taking a bath on it. It's incredible. I just have too many guitars. I literally have more guitars than I have hangers for, and I have this many hangers. So at some point, I just got to call it, right? I just got to say, look, I can't keep just acquiring. And it's getting to the point I picked up an amp the other day, and a spider crawled on me, and I realized I got too much stuff back here. I got dead roly-polies and stuff behind some of these things. It gets so dusty. I got to strip down a little bit so I can take care of the stuff I do have. Because I have right now just too many things, and honestly, I've turned some of them on and they've been broken. And then I'm like, it's becoming a full-time job just to keep this stuff up. I don't want that, and I don't want it to decay down here. So it's like, okay, let me sell about 15% of the stuff down here. Okay, enough with that. Enough with that. People, Reverb, I think what you're doing is borderline scam behavior, and you need to stop. Don't lock people up there. And if you're going to do that, I get it. Incentivize them to keep it up there. I would use that if I'm buying and selling for the purpose of buying something else. But I was selling stuff and I don't need more gear right now. But I will in the future. So why do that? Why make yourself such a slave to the quarterly projections and the all this stuff? You know what I mean? As a small business owner myself, I got to tell you, man, I've had people email me. I had one guy email me one time, and he said, "Hey, dude, can I ask for a refund? I haven't opened this. I haven't used it. I'm not supposed to be spending money on gear right now, and my wife and I got in a big fight, and I really can't afford this. But I spent $79. I had a code. I spent $79 on an everything pack, and I'm really sorry. I understand if the answer is no." And I thought, yeah, man, I get it. I get it, dude. Egg on your face. You probably look like an idiot. But you know who I thought about in that situation? I thought about his wife. I thought about his wife, who's married to a dummy. But I can relate because I'm a dummy. You know what I mean? I didn't read this Reverb thing. People make mistakes. They act like dummies sometimes. You don't need to make them feel like an idiot or take advantage of them. And I do feel a little bit taken advantage of. I wouldn't feel taken advantage of if it wasn't for the fact that Reverb had a program that looked just like this just a few years ago. And I've been a long-time Reverb customer, and I used that one then, and it didn't have this restriction. And it feels just a little bit to me like I'm not the only one making this mistake. So shove it, Reverb. And I hope you guys reach out to me and try to make it right. I really do. Because it's not worth it to make this kind of, it's not, this amount of bad will is not worth it. And I've tried to demonstrate that in my explanation here. So, you know. You think about his wife and you go, okay, she's married to a dummy and now they don't have the $79. She's probably super stressed, right? And I don't know what they need, man. I don't know if they need diapers. I don't know what. You don't know if I was trying to pay my rent for this. I'm short on gigs this month. Whatever. You don't know. And so to have such a restrictive policy like that I'm going to say it again. I'm willing to pay a stupid tax. The stupid tax should not be, sorry, you can't have your money under any circumstances. There should be a circumstance. I'd like to give you back the 1%, and I'd like to pay you whatever, the processing fee or something. I mean, like, it's a little silly. It's actually not a little silly. It's really silly. Really silly. You know what I'm saying? If I need to pay you the whatever 4% that you're getting in a money market for the projected time that the average person leaves it up there, probably 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Fine. I mean, gosh, it's hard. It's hard being a reasonable person in a world of unreasonable people. It's hard being an honest person. No, actually, I take that back. It's not. It's not hard being honest. It's actually the normal thing to do. I'm going to maintain that. It's the normal thing to do. Because I got Jesus, man. I don't know what y'all have. Quarterly reports. That's your God. That's your God. And I pray he smashes your altars. I really do. Flip your tables. Anyway, Tone Junkie Podcast. Here we are. What a beautiful, lovely day it is here in Nashville. I really do have a great life. Very thankful. You know, sometimes I go into rants like that and it's like Reverb this, Reverb that. But I just think, you know what? I'm thankful, man. I'm thankful that I don't feel like I have to run my business in a way where I don't want, sometimes people are going to be unreasonable with you, but I want to have a business where I can handle people in a empathetic way. And I think I do that. I've had times and seasons in my life where I've really fallen behind on emails and not been super responsive to people. And it's left me feeling like I've let people down. But I want to be a person. Now, I've made big improvements. I've had to really hunker down and just it's been an issue where it's like, okay, I got to pick up my phone and put it on the other end of the room. I have to be disciplined and set aside time every day for these emails and set a time every day for filling orders on QC. And that's, I've really been making a lot more effort to do that. There are still some people that are faster than me. Because at the end of the day, man, look, it's difficult to be the sole provider in your household and also be a very present father. We have, I'm going to say something very countercultural for a minute, but I'm the most alternative countercultural figure on the internet. I do believe that. It's not these people with the nails. You know what I mean? It's not these people with, black finger paint on their nails and they're yelling about, Trantifa or stuff. That's not like, you're not countercultural if every corporation has a day celebrating your beliefs. That's not countercultural at all. No, I'm countercultural because, well, I'm just going to say this. This is my countercultural take. I think a lot of times we talk about how there's this like women's empowerment kind of thing. We're in fourth generation feminism. You know what I mean? Fourth wave feminism where, we're off of the right to vote stuff. We're off of the equal pay. We're off all that. Now it's like, now it's like, why my kids should have my name. I birthed them, that's like the natural order of things. And it's like, your name, you mean your grandfather, you mean your dad's name, your dad's last name? That's so funny to me, by the way. People sometimes, I see all these women. This is like becoming a popular thing. We have some friends who did this. They're like, well, I'm keeping my last name. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And they're like, cause like, I want, and my kids should have my last name. And I'm thinking, that's fine, but your last name is your dad's last name because your mom didn't give you hers. And even if she did give you hers, that's her dad's. You can't be so arrogant as to think that you can sort of like undo a tradition because you find some injustice in it. Because the truth is, your name as a woman who you got from your dad is no more. It's no more your name than it is. Like if that wasn't your mom's name. So my only point in saying that is not to say that like, and I even said to somebody once, I was like, you mean your dad's name? That's your dad's name. And the person responded to me, it's not my dad's name. I'm not his property. It's my name. And I'm like, well, that's the thing. Well, that's it. Your name is the name someone gave you, right? The people that created you gave you your name. Whoa. What an actually profound concept. So name your kids whatever you want, but don't do this like he should have this or he should have that. We just have a tradition. It's not a hateful tradition, by the way. What's important actually is that you have the same name as a married couple. That's actually the most important thing. You should have your same name as a married couple. Don't have different names and then be like, well, I want my kids to have my name. Have the same name so that your parents so that your children see you as one and you see yourself as one, right? Don't be so quick to do the divorce papers early. You know what I'm saying? It's till death do us part, but also I affiliate with you in my eternal being. You know what I'm saying? So this whole, it's this independence movement that is the thing, right? And this is where I actually think men have a really hard time because I'll tell you as a father, there's this weird millennial dad thing, right? Where it's like, if you, I'm going to get it, man. If women heard me saying this, luckily there's like 2 women that listen to this podcast. It's this weird millennial dad thing where it's like, no, you're expected to go. Here's the thing. This weird millennial dad thing is, if both of you work, you should split the household chores evenly. I totally get that. I'm not against that. If both of you go out and work and you both provide financial, look, when you get together in marriage, right? I want to talk really practically because I have some religious beliefs about marriage, right? And I'm a traditional guy, but I want to talk really practically because there's been a couple of people. There's a guy in Canada who does like personal finance stuff. And there was this guy, Kevin Samuel. And I don't agree with Kevin Samuel on a lot of his takes and a lot of his things, right? But Kevin Samuel used to bring something up. I never heard anyone make this argument for Kevin Samuel. He was kind of like a shocking person who was very like, he would talk to women and do stuff. He was very like shock jock sort of thing. And, you know, it's entertaining, I guess. But Kevin Samuel would bring up something where he would basically tell a lot of people, he would tell a lot of single moms who were trying to get married for the second time. They were looking for a spouse. And he would often tell them to compromise and lower their standards. And he would lay it out like this. He would go, here's why. You have a big problem ahead of you. I'm putting it in kinder terms than he did. You have a big problem ahead of you, and it's called retirement. And his thing was, you can't actually afford to retire unless you do it with two people. His thing was, most lower and middle class people cannot afford to retire unless you do it with two persons. He was like, because then you're splitting everything. And so the same is really true of marriage, and it's true of having a household. When you have a household, you're going to have all these household duties. You're going to have all this administrative work in terms of paying bills. You're going to have all these care duties of children. You're going to have the monetary and providing duties. You're going to have all of these duties, and you have to have a division of labor, right? And you have to decide who does what. There's a traditional division of labor that has been modeled, and that for a lot of us, and I didn't have it, by the way, but I have it now. I've always envied it. When I was growing up as a person coming from a broken home, I did not live in a house with my parents. I had several different living situations. I lived with my grandmother for a long time, and I lived with my mom, and I lived with my dad. And I at one point lived or for many years, some of my favorite memories are living in a house with 16 people. It was a lot of my cousins. We all lived in my grandparents' house. We all had parents who, sometimes through some fault of their own, and sometimes through no fault of their own, ended up not having a place, and they moved back into grandma's house. And I grew up with a lot of cousins. But in that environment, we had very little space to be independent and do things together, or everything was done together. And my grandma would cook these big meals in a big pot. And I thought we were rich because we had 2 refrigerators. I didn't realize that's because we had 3 families living in a house. Actually 4, if you count my grandmother, because all her kids were grown, right? But it was my grandmother, me, 3 kids, my mom, my sister, and my brother, and me. My brother's handicapped, right? He had a wheelchair and a lift thing and everything. They built a big ramp for him in the back that ate up all the backyard, and but none of the kids weren't upset about that. We played on the ramp, and we did everything, and we rode our scooters down, and we thought it was amazing. You know what I mean? Some kid came and threw the dog off the ramp, and the dog died a little later. That was sad, but it happened, and it's a memory. And that's kind of how you have these childhood memories. And then there was another family downstairs. That was my aunt and her 3 girls. And upstairs we had an aunt, uncle, and 4 kids. And you know what the highlight of that was? I used to love it when the kids, see, I had a room with 3 beds in it. And then they had a room, the other family, my cousins, they had a room with a bed in it, and they had 3 people sitting in there. But then they had 3 kids that slept in the living room on a pull-out couch and a little love seat. I used to beg my mom. I was the kid with a room. 3 of us were in a room, and I had a nice comfy bed. And my bed was more comfortable than the pull-out sofa that they were on, that 2 of them were on, and the little couch. But I was like, Mom, can I please get the aero bed out, and can I sleep out here? And during the summers, they would let me do it. I just wanted to sleep. As a kid, it felt like a sleepover. As a kid, you don't know you got the nicer setup in that room. And so my bed was empty while I went and slept with them out there. No one knew we had it nice or not. The adults probably did. We were a family. My grandmother was an angel on this earth. She worked nights as a nurse. She slept on a lazy boy recliner so that all of the beds in the house went to kids and her kids, went to her grandkids and her kids. People were doubled up, tripled up. She had the worst bed of all. She was in a lazy boy. She'd sleep while all the kids played around her. You guys, she slept in that lazy boy until the thing broke. And at one point, it inverted her upside down. And she yelled, Gilbert, help me. Gilbert, help me. Gilbert was my cousin, man. He was like a brother to me. And he's still my cousin, and I love him. But we were thick as thieves back then. We're thick as thieves now. You know what I mean? He sends me stuff every day. We send each other offensive memes and wrestling highlights. And we're both just trying to provide for a bunch of kids on a piece of land in the South, trying to make a way. California refugees who got tired of stepping over drug addicts and people dying in the street in the name of some tolerance banner. The inhumane practice of living around filth and dying people, the mentally ill, the sick, the drug-induced, sitting on the street who should be picked up and forced into care for their own well-being because they're dying in front of you and they cannot take care of themselves and they are a blight on society when they're in this when they're in this state. They should be taken and compelled into treatment and taken care of because they are failing themselves, their families are failing themselves, society is failing them, and the government is failing them. And yet they put up a banner and goes, you're violating their civil rights if you pick them up. You take their tent, they're heroes. They're modern day homesteaders. And you then, as a dweller in the city, are forced to act out the inhumane thing of stepping over a person that might be dead, might be sleeping, has a needle sticking out of their arm. You are forced to sacrifice your humanity as your sacrifice to the modern leftist Western ideals of society. Aren't you a good modern leftist liberal? No, sir. No, sir. No, sir, I am not. HW, you're getting too political. No, I'm just being humane. There's there's only delusion in that thinking. And for some reason, one of the political parties, who I don't think is evil in and of itself, has picked up of this very evil idea that there's some honor in sitting behind your Mac laptop and posting memes about how evil the police are and how compelling people into treatment. That's why I'm so for this movement in America right now that is cleaning up our big cities. Put in put in the National Guard, put in the Secret Service, put in anybody you want. I'm sick of the man, I grew up around this stuff. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know how many interactions I had as a child with homeless people on the margins that were positive, but how many I had with the people that were negative. I'm not going to glorify it and go, I met a lot of kind people. A lot of people were kind to me. A lot of people meant me no harm, But I was a kid who was taken by my church, by my mother, to places to feed the homeless, to wash their feet. You ever washed the feet of a person who's been living on the street for years? Disgusting, the worst feet, gangrene, the worst toenails you've ever seen. I mean, makes you throw the smell. Ugh. But we wash their feet in the name of Jesus. Because they have dignity and they have humanity, and they actually deserve for someone to come to them and say, do you need help? And if they say no, to be able to say, you actually do. You actually do. And if you're in denial about needing help, if you're in denial about needing help and we can see that you're killing yourself, right? When you got people who have infections and gangrene and are going to lose limbs and are losing limbs, when they have dead limbs walking around the street, and your idea of humanity is giving them clean needles, there's nothing wrong with that clean needle exchange. What's wrong is that you've lost the ability to govern yourself. You've lost the ability to govern yourself and look at a situation and say, am I actually helping? Am I actually doing? Is this even what these people need at all? Because I would just venture to say this. If you are living on the street and you have an infection so bad in your limb and you have a part of a limb or a finger or something that needs to be amputated and you may be weeks away from sepsis, the risk of HIV does not rank on your top 10 worst things that could happen to you. So let's just start there, right? Let's just start with it. Right? HIV and Hep B that you get through unclean needles are not your biggest problem. You're far more likely to die of an overdose on one of your next 100 injections than you are to continue in this lifestyle and actually be affected by HIV. Because the HIV is going to take a while to kill you. That fentanyl is going to kill you next month, brother. That sepsis and that limb is going to kill you next week, brother. Oh, HW, why'd you get political in the last election? I don't know. Because I got a heart, man. Because I got a heart. Because I got a heart, and I am so tired of watching people just suck suck at people who are supposed to be protectors, people who are supposed to be providers, and they suck at it. And they look at someone and they go, whoa, you're literally on death's door. Here's a sleeping bag and clean needles. Good luck. My God. My God. My God, help us. Oh, my God, give us wisdom. It just takes such a blindness, such a distorting of reality to walk around the streets of a San Francisco or Chicago, even an Anaheim at this point, and not see that since I used to travel in 2017, 18, 19. There is not a city in this country I've been able to go to that is not worse, materially worse, as me, as a tourist, as a visitor, as a business traveler. And I'm sticking in the areas where I should see the nicest, most forward-facing stuff. I'm not purposefully traveling into the crazy neighborhoods. And yet these cities cannot hide it. The street right outside of Disneyland has so many homeless people after dark that cities cannot control it anymore. They used to put those people away. Those people were always pushed into another part of the city where you wouldn't see as a tourist. What that tells you is the other areas are full. It's overflowing. They can't do anything about it. They were doing better, and now they've started not doing so great anymore. But the humanity, let me tell you, the inhumanity required to not just look at problems like this as they are. And I bring this up because it's the same type of thing that gets a group full of people sitting together in a room like Reverb.com and going, you know what we should do? We should incentivize people to keep money on the platform. And they go, I like that idea. We should. That'd be great. We should incentivize people to keep money on the platform. And we should give them no way to take the money off the platform, and we should make it look like something that we had before without this restriction. What if they make a mistake? Can't pay the rent. Sorry. I remember when I worked with my dad taught me a lot about business, but he taught me a lot about being a kind person. And my dad, I remember for years, we had this e-commerce company, this little e-commerce company that he grew from a bedroom into like 23 employees. He sold it now, but it had he did like 10 or 12 million in sales at the height of it. And I'm always so proud of my dad. He built that from nothing. Literally out of his bedroom. And my dad, I remember I used to tell him, Dad, these exchanges are, we would sell work shirts, work clothes and work shirts, Carhartt, Dickies, and all this stuff. We would sell it online, and this is before Amazon started selling stuff like this. And that is a business that was so fragmented, There's so many small auto mechanic shops around the country, and the people who service those shops, when it's 3 or less people, they don't want to stop. You can't stop the Aramark truck or the Cintosh truck. It's not worth it for 3 people. You'll lose money if you service those places. You stop it for 3 people, because even if you sell them mats and a pair, and each guy has 5 shirts that you do the laundry service for, it's too. You need more people than that. And a lot of these shops are 2, 3 guys, 4 guys sometimes. And they're all like self-owned and operated. And so we would provide these guys with a real alternative where it's like, buy your stuff from us for way cheaper than you'd be able to buy at other places, and just buy it yourself. And wash it yourself. And when they get ruined, just buy more. Like, don't sign a big contract to do the laundry service and all this stuff. Just, or here you go. And if you got a small business, we can brand all your stuff. We did all that stuff. And people used to order the wrong size and they'd want to exchange it. And I said, Dad, these people, they're sending their stuff back to us, and then we have to exchange it. We have to go through this manual process of like looking at it, refunding the old order. We didn't have the exchanges automated. We had all the order process was automated. I said, but Dad, he's like, well, how do we automate the exchanges? We're having this meeting. I said, Dad, the problem is we shouldn't invest in automating the exchanges. We don't, we're talking to getting this dev to do this, and we want the customer service people to do this, and we want to create this new button in the thing. It's like we're getting all these people together. It's going to cost us so much money. Yes, we think it'll streamline this process, but I said, what would be smarter? Tell people we don't do exchanges. Just tell people this. If you want to return something, here's our returns, and automate that, and tell them to just reorder it, right? Tell them, send it back, scan the code when we get it back. It'll auto do the refund as long as someone gives it a thumbs up that it's here. and I go, and that's way easier than the exchange. And then you got to do this. Because what would always happen is someone would go down a size, and then they'd sometimes the size, there'd be an upcharge for 2XL and up, you know what I mean? Because we were literally charging cost plus a percentage, right? We were like cost plus drugs, right? It's like, here's our cost plus a percentage. That was our pricing. It was literally like such a great deal for these people. But anyway, and my dad looked at me, and I was like, Dad, we should just get rid. He's like, no, I know what it's like being that guy who, we're taught these. He's like, when I worked at Grand Auto, he didn't have his own garage ever, but he went and taught auto tech after this. And so he had a ton of experience working in garages and then teaching mechanics and stuff. And he's like, no, I know these guys. He's like, there are guys who don't have enough money to buy 5 shirts and 5 pairs of pants and this, and then they want to exchange the shirts and the jackets, and they don't have enough money to just send it back and buy it again. They don't have enough money to hang up, to tie up $150 to $400, whatever it was for however how many people they were doing. They don't have the money to just do it like that, right? And and at the time I fought him, I get it now. I get it. As I got older, I started to get it. I went through some times where I didn't have money. And I was like, I get it. It's the empathy for that guy, right? And the thing is, if you don't show empathy for that guy, you don't try. If you don't like refund the guy like I did, right, who looked like an idiot in front of his wife for paying the money, right? And I've had people, like I'm the type of guy, hey, I've had so many people, I bought this on the wrong platform. Can I get it for this other one, right? I've even had people go like this, HW, listen, I bought it for Kemper. I don't have my Kemper anymore. I want Tonex. I want to get your stuff. Is there anything you can do for me? Yeah, man. I got a discount code for you. Let me help you out. I see you're a longtime customer. I love you, man. You've been spending money with me for years. I'm not trying to nickel and dime. I know you're going to keep buying Tonex stuff. You want to replace the old tones. I get it. Here, take this. I had someone go, I got an everything pack on Gila. I want to get the everything pack for everything, but man, I don't want to spend $400. I go, yeah, here's a code. Don't spend $400. Spend less on each one. I got you, brother. I got you, man. You're a mechanic and you play guitar on the side. You know what I mean? You're a guitar player and you're trying to make your, we've all been there. You know what I mean? And when you appreciate the people who help you make a living, because you can't set out and have a business where you serve people. And that's all I'm trying to do. Man, I'll be the first to say I've lost my way at times. And that's why if Reverb comes out and says, hey, everybody, we're sorry. We understand that our program was kind of like, it locked a lot of people in and they didn't really realize it. And we understand that it looked just like a program we had a few years ago. And longtime customers probably remember that and wonder why that program went away. And now we're releasing something that looks just like it with a huge restriction, right? And it's like, our bad. Here's a mechanism to take your stuff off. And if you contact us, we'll waive the fee to pull your money off the thing, even if you hit this button, even if you do the wrong thing, right? Even if you owe us some stupid tax, we'll waive your stupid tax one time. Man, that'd be exemplary. I'd make another video saying Reverb, love them or hate them, they're all right people. I like them. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'd be a person who would just be like, hey, I've always had a good thing with Reverb. You know what I mean? It goes a long way. You would get more shout outs for, here's a Reverb. I'm going to tell you something if you're watching this. You would get way more endorsement from me, and I'd probably give you more, whatever an endorsement here is worth, whatever like telling my friends about stuff and like plugs on my podcasts and my videos is worth, whatever that's worth, you'd probably get way more from me by just saying, hey, dude, we saw the video. I understand how you feel that way, and that wasn't our intention with this project. We're going to take it off and we're going to give people some mechanism to like the first time, if they ever make this mistake, they can reach out to us and we'll do a one-time transfer. And then we'll just alert them, hey, please don't use this program if you don't want it. This is how we've designed it for whatever reason. That's what it's for. If they did that, you'd get way more than if they contacted me and said, we want to sponsor you and give you $500 for, whatever, 50 plugs or 5 plugs or, 50 link placements. I don't know, whatever it would be, 5 link placements. Who cares? I don't care. There's a lot of things in this world worth more than money. And the thing is, it's all the same thing. If you can't look at that guy and go, man, I get how doing this exchange thing actually is what you need, even though it might not be the most efficient for my business, right? And it might be, hey, let's roll it out and just go, hey, if you need to exchange something, return it. We have free returns. Order it right here. And if someone, and it might just say, hey, if you have a financial hardship and you can't afford to do this, call us. Reach out to customer service. Being willing to help people in their situations should be part of your marketing budget because it's goodwill. It should be part of your branding budget. Because if you can't do that, if you can't help a guy who doesn't have the extra 150 to do the exchange thing like my dad was doing, to just go like, oh, okay, I'll just plunk down another 150, 450, 350, whatever, and wait for you to process my return for a couple weeks, right? I can't just have that money tied up. If you can't see that musicians are going to be on Reverb clearly offloading gear to pay their rent, right? If you can't see that stuff is happening in you, then you don't serve musicians. And what happens is you stop serving the people you say you serve long enough, and you start to be the government. And you start to go, we're gonna spend $6 billion on homeless people. But that guy who's losing his foot and killing himself, sorry, he's homesteading the sidewalk. It's like you're not a real person. You're a fake, like, reptilian snake. You know what I'm saying? You've lost your soul along the way. There's something you have lost something in you that makes you a human, that makes you a person. And I'm not saying, oh, so I'm going to take you out, or you're not a human, you don't deserve basic human rights. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you are walking around missing something inside you that is so important, and you're not living a normal human life, if that's okay with you. You're so blind and so calloused, to the plight of people on time. I mean, it's really, I can't tell you how backwards we got, like in the state of California, when the homeless advocacy groups were standing up, we're like, do not build more homeless beds. What? Why? Because there was one Ninth Circuit court case that said the police cannot force homeless people into you cannot force people into a homeless shelter and off the street unless there's enough beds for them. And the Ninth Circuit said, unless the whole state of California has enough beds, then no one in California can force them in. Which meant, if you're up in, if you're up in, I don't know, where's a little tiny city? Clipper Mills, right? And, or you're up in, Angel, Lake Gustavo, I don't know, some little town up there, right? You're up in Redding, and let's say there's a bunch of resources. Churches are providing resources. And let's say you got more beds than you got homeless people. The cops there can't say, hey, you cannot be out on the street. You can't be sleeping in this park. Can't be doing this. Can't be doing drugs in this park. Can't be doing. We're going to force you in. You can choose jail or you can go into this program. Right? And by program, I mean you can go for one night indoors. Now, listen, I also understand that there's a lot of people who are avoiding shelters because there's a lot of bad dudes in the shelters, and that's not something I'm advocating for either. I'm saying these programs need to be safe and clean and get people off, and they need to have treatment. And I understand we're going to have people that are just counter to society, and maybe there's some program for them too, where we say, hey, we got some BLM land, and here's a little square. I don't know what to do. I'm not saying I have all the solutions, but I am saying I remember a time when I didn't see people with limbs needing amputation clearly yelling at the sun and throwing feces around, and I've seen all of those things I just said. And so all of a sudden, because LA is short 30,000 beds, nowhere in the state of California is allowed to do anything about their homeless population. That's the type of stuff where it's like, and then the homeless advocacy groups are like, no, the shelters are dangerous. So no shelter, no nothing. It's the strangest de-evolution of civilized manner and society. And I firmly stand against it. And to me, it's one thing. It's just one thing. It's just the lack of empathy and the lack of order, and it's providers who don't do their thing. You might be going, HW, I thought you were going to talk about millennial dads and the plight of millennial dads. You got into feminism for a second, and then you went crazy on this homeless thing. Yeah, let me just throw this out there. It's this thing with like millennial dads right now where if you split the labor in your household, everyone understands that. Yeah, your wife works, then you need to split the labor. But it's this thing where people don't like it if you go, well, I'm the sole provider, so my wife does all the housework. It's a little like, you're a little traditional, aren't you? Well, what about your wife? What makes her happy? What's her passion? Now, I'm lucky I married a woman who doesn't hate me secretly or her family, which I notice. I think there's a fair amount of women who I encounter who I think really do, actually. They really have a great, they despise, sort of the family unit in a lot of ways. And they're largely unmarried, but I do find them sometimes married. And I notice a lot of my friends who have let this like sort of infectious thought into their mind where they're like, well, yeah, my husband goes and works for, all day, and then he comes home and like, what's he doing? Right. And it's like, yeah, well, I guess he should be present when he's there. I don't think that's a bad thing. But there just seems to be this real like rejection of like the traditional roles in the sense that it's often frowned on when men are just providers. Now it's funny because the first thing you can do as a man to be a deadbeat is not provide, right? Don't pay for your kids. You're a deadbeat instantly. But then it's like you have to provide and you have to be present, right? And I think what isn't always there is everyone's quick to point out how expensive everything is getting. Everyone's quick to point out how difficult it is to have a sole earner in your house. But then that they don't extend that to say, yeah, there's going to be a lot of dads who are going to have a really hard time being present. And so we're left with this thing where it's like mom's been working all day with the kids and dad's been working all day. And when dad gets home, of course, there should be a time when mom clocks out, mom taps out, and it's like mom's mental health time, right? Nobody gives a shit about men's mental health. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? You want to know something? Like, I'm going to let you in on a real secret. The reason in male comedy you have so many jokes around suicide and depression is because that's the closest men get to sharing how they feel and what they're going through with other men. That's it. That's it, man. Nobody comes and checks on other dudes. Nobody does that. You just go through it, you make a joke about it, and you are so starved for any type of support that the one dude who connects with you for like 1 or 2 minutes says something sincere, like that's really hard. Like I got this friend, Kent. I immediately noticed about him, he's quick when someone says something that's hard. He's quick to say, that's hard, man. That's hard. I know that's hard to deal with. And can I just tell you, for the men in your life, that is the most validating thing. Often men just want someone else to say, wow, you're lifting a lot there, aren't you? And the thing is, that that renews your strength. That's it, right? The plight of a male provider is to sort of suffer alone, away from his family. Because I can't tell you how happy I am. Like I had this moment in the car today. My son's in the back doing an Indian accent, like saying the funniest things doing this Indian accent. My daughter's going, she's 2. She's like singing, she's trying to sing like some Disney song. My middle son is cracking up at what my older son is saying because they're doing this thing like, what if this YouTuber, like he's acting out this skit where this YouTuber like is like having a conversation and he's having it with this like Indian dude. And I look back and I look over at my wife and she just got her hair like done. And my wife's like, she's looking good. She's lost like 20 pounds and she's really on this like health journey. She's just killing it right now. And like, she makes like the best sourdough bread, has people over, like is just a natural entertainer, like loves having people, just has created, I'm such a rich man. She's created such like a culture in our house of like tradition and like And like the kids have like pretty strict rules, but like they're good people because of it. And I'm just like, my kids are well behaved and funny. They're happy and laughing. I look over my wife. She's got her new, like, you know, she's looking good. She's dressed cute. She's like driving, you know, she's got the shades on and she just looks good. And she's got her hair kind of done with the new highlights. And I just went, oh my, oh my. The Lord has lifted me so high above my station. I am the richest man in Tennessee. You guys, I work all day and then I go back to work like when the kids are, like I tuck my boys in, I go back to work for an hour, hour and a half. I do some editing, I do this, I do a little last minute this and that, and I'm still behind. I've pulled all-nighters. They're harder to do as I'm in my later part of the mid-30s. Harder to do with the 2-year-old running you around and stuff. But, man, can I tell you something? That little moment, I'm ready to work 100 hours. I'm ready to just go kill it. You know, so much so that I was like, hey, love, when we get home, boys play video games. Little girl goes, takes a nap. My wife's doing her workout class. I go, let me go record a Tone Junkie podcast and finish some edits and get ahead. Let me go do it. Why? So I can serve people. So I can help somebody out with another video, with another download, with another something. You know? I've been in the dark place when it's not fun. I've been burned out. I've been that. I don't want to be that. I'm not that. You know what I mean? That's not me at my best. I just want to be me at my best. How am I at my best? When I'm serving others, when I'm providing for my family, when I'm serving the Lord Jesus Christ to the best of my ability. And oh Lord, oh good God, have grace for a sinner like me. Am I anywhere close in myself to getting it right, to righteousness? Am I anywhere close to even figuring it all out? Am I anywhere even close to the capability of what I could be with just a little bit more, you know, of your spirit in me? No. I'm so far from perfection. But God, is that not the testimony to what you've done in my life? Is that not the testimony to what you've done in my life? I remember hearing it. I remember hearing the call of the Lord that said, sell your house and go to Tennessee. I remember crying in my church that I loved, where I was a worship leader, a singer, a guitar player, loved. All our community was there. I remember going, oh, but Lord, I love this place. Why would you take it away from me? It goes, I got something for you, man. I got grace and providence for you. Okay. And then asking, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And having miraculous confirmation. And going to my wife and going, I think this is what we're supposed to do. And she went, do it. Let's do it. I went, what? You're not supposed to be down for this. I'm down for this. What is it? I went through a whole process of like, and then getting out here and bringing a group of people and doing this and that. And the Lord just showing up for me blessingly and being all over the place for me. A man like me that I can years later, almost 10 years later, you guys, I'm about 6 months out from 10 years later, that I can say to you almost 10 years later, oh my, how good the Lord has been to me. And not just for the things he's done, because he's good if he does. He's good if he doesn't. He's good if he says yes. He's good if he says, no, I have something better. He's good in the suffering. He's good in my blessing. He's good in the mountain and the valley. He is good. I don't pray for the hard times. But I know the hard times are part of life, right? But I don't fear the hard times because I don't fear the cruelness of this world, because I know one who has overcome the world. And he's commanded me not to be fearful. He's commanded me not to be anxious, but instead to renew my mind, to take hold of it. And with a renewed mind to look out and go, Reverb, get it together. That's not right. Right? You might not be technically wrong under the law or anything, but you got to serve people and respect people, and that's not a winning strategy for you. Do better. You'll do better the other way. San Francisco, California, the whole just every big city right now. That what you're doing, you're not helping those people, and you're degrading society, and the people who trust you are losing trust in you. You have to do better. Get away from this, I can't do anything. Jesus said the poor will always be among you, right? But I don't want my mayor to say that. The governor of a state doesn't need to say that. He needs to say we're going to end homelessness. You know what I mean? And he needs to do it like this year. He needs to do the 10-year plan in 1 year, and he'll fail. But he might get 60% of the way there, and we'd be infinitely better if he did that. And so then the words of Jesus will be true. But so will the fact that man put in so much. I'm not against anyone. I'll support Gavin Newsom if he ends homelessness like he said he's going to do 10 times. We reached the 10-year anniversary, by the way, of Gavin's end homelessness in 3 years, a couple years ago. I wasn't celebrating. Were you? Whatever. I'm not trying to pick anybody apart. I think that some of the worst ideas lie on one side of the aisle right now. I mean, I think, honestly, some of the most boneheaded people are just on one side. There's bad ideas on both sides right now. I'm not for a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? But I looked and I saw the one person who I thought was going to get some things done. I thought they were good. And I really was looking at the other side going, you guys seem to have an agenda, and it's an agenda, and yet you don't even get that agenda done. You say that you're in support of schools and this and that, but then I look at you and you're actually totally ineffectual in your own agenda. You're talking about ending homelessness and being super moral people who care for your fellow man and unity and sticking together, but you aren't even caring for the easiest people to care for. People who are about to lose their foot, starve, and overdose on the street. There's like 3 things you could do for them. You could help them not lose their foot through amputation. You could amputate them because they need it already, because we've already missed the boat. You could help them not overdose, and you could give them some food. These are actually 3 very tangible things the government's very good at, because the government is best at writing checks. You could do this for nonprofits tomorrow. I don't know, man. My grandfather-in-law, he did this until he literally was not strong enough to do anymore. He would go to Safeway and tell the Safeway manager, listen, I'm going to take all this bread out of the back of any bread you have that spoils, give it to me. Now, they have a program set up, but the program they sometimes miss a lot of their own stuff, and it has to be thrown away. I don't know why. They have like routine things that don't sell through, but they're still good. So that's kind of what Safeway does. It's like things that don't sell through, they know they're not going to sell through, they can donate it rather than throwing it away. But the stuff that's literally on the shelf and all of a sudden people start going, oh, this is not good, or there's some mold on this or whatever, or like this is going to expire tomorrow. At the store level, they don't always have a way to do it. And so my grandfather would go and he would say, do you have anything extra? It'd be old pastry stuff. It'd be old bread. But it's still, he'd pick it up and he would go to one of the shelters and he'd donate it. He literally was just a man who saw that place has bread, that place has none. Like green eggs and ham type shit, man. That place has bread, that place has none. I think I'll drive it over there. He'd pull up and all these crackheads would get out and they'd help him bring stuff in. All of a sudden people would be yelling out the windows, give me the sweets. How about you, son of a, you always take this. That's the thing about people on the street. They start fighting very easily. Dude, you say all these negative things about people on the street. You ever interact with, listen, you're not going to interact with 20 homeless people on the street and not hear some of the wildest, craziest stuff. One of them will try to pick your pocket. Another one will try to scam you. 3 will try to sell their body to you. That leaves about 13 that are actually fine. And I'm being generous. I really am. I'm really being generous. You shouldn't, you actually do them a disservice when you when you don't tell it like it is for the most marginalized people in society, these are extremely difficult people to serve and be with. And I did so much service with them for so long, and I actually feel that like the Lord is calling me back to do some service for them again in a much more tangible way. I have not done a ton in the last several years. I've financially supported, but I have not myself been out there, and it's because I've had young kids, right? It's a lot of my things like it's like my church does these mobile food pantries and the packing backpacks, and you don't get as much exposure. I don't know why my parents let me do this. I used to go to the worst neighborhood in San Francisco and wash their feet, do the feeding thing. I would, bro, with the stuff I've seen, I would not let my kids do that today. I would not let my kids be in so many of the situations that I've been in. One time there was this homeless guy. He was trying to sell me a coffee maker. This happened all the time, by the way. I was at a church that was in one of the worst neighborhoods in San Francisco. It's since gentrified. When I was 8, from like 8 to 15, there were shootings all the time. From like 15 to now, it's much better. It's called the Mission District of San Francisco. And if you remember what it was like 20 years ago, you know what I'm talking about. And even in the late 90s, man. This guy's trying to sell me a coffee maker. He's like, hey, man, I got this coffee maker. You know what I mean? And he has no belt on, right? His pants are like sagging. And I can see that the button is broken off his pants because the zipper's up, but the two flaps are just like open. He's holding it, and he's holding a coffee maker in the other. And it's like a cheap Mr. Coffee, coffee thing. And so he starts telling me, hey, man, I got this coffee maker. I don't have the carafe, but my brain immediately, I'm shutting this guy off because I'm assessing him, because this is what you have to do, right? People who live in big cities know this. People who've lived in California in any sort of neighborhood that wasn't good, and people who've done work with marginalized communities know this. The first thing you do when you encounter someone is you sort of assess them as a threat. This is pattern recognition that is for your survival. It's built into your brain, okay? If 10 times you get attacked by someone who is wearing red shirts, you will start to notice red shirts, okay? And so I'm looking and so there's tells when you can tell if someone's hostile or not. You can tell in their movement, actually, very quickly. You can tell in their speech. So what I'm doing is I'm immediately, this guy, the way he's speaking to me, I can tell he wants something. He's not trying to jump me in broad daylight. This is like 12:30 on a Sunday afternoon, right? I'm getting out of church. I'm walking around. I'm going to get some food. And I can tell he wants something from me. So okay, so I'm sort of assessing him of like, is this a scam, or is he trying to get, is there some like a more elaborate thing, or he's just a crackhead who stole a coffee maker trying to sell. He has no carafe. He's like, with a carafe, bro, but it's still good. I mean, so I assess him as not really a threat. I'm listening to him. So I do two moves. I'm distracted because his belt is open, and I'm thinking I have a belt on. I'm going to give this guy my belt. Now, by the way, I worked at my dad's company at this point. And did I? No, my dad had the company. And so here's what I knew. I knew that every day I was walking by mechanics belts that are no scratch belts for stuff, and I can take them at any moment I want. I had like 4 at home that I had just taken over the years, whatever, I don't know. And I can get one of these belts. It doesn't matter. My dad doesn't care if I take a belt. So I had noticed when a lot of people on the streets didn't have belts, and they'd have hand-me-down clothes or whatever. They'd have clothes that would wear out. I would often give the belt off of me because I noticed it was something. Everyone gives socks. That's great. Everyone gives clothes. That's great. But a lot of times when people accept clothes, they don't always fit. And especially what happens with people, the reason their pants will be too big is because they get on the street and their drug use goes through the roof. They stop eating and they lose a ton of weight. So you notice, especially the skinny crackheads always had oversized clothing on. That clothing was their size 6 weeks ago, right? 8 weeks ago. And you talk to people, that clothing was their size. The people who have been on the street a long time, they found clothing their size already. But the ones who lose weight really fast, right? They got their old pair of jeans. They got a couple things. Maybe they start living in their car. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm assessing this guy, and I realize, okay, his belt is broken. So I do this. So I reach in my pocket, I take out some change. I drop it in the cup he's holding. He's talking. He's holding the coffee maker, holding the pants up. He's holding a cup, holding his pants up. I reach towards his stomach. I drop it. I drop the coin and I hear bloop, 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 bloop. And he goes, "Oh man, my water." I go, "Oh shit." Because now you don't want to mess, but and people become agitated. And people on the street can fight, man. People on the street don't survive unless you can fight. You know what I mean? You get into some stuff, and people get beaten up a lot. People get taken advantage of. But most dudes on the street are going to know how to defend themselves, and they're going to know you have to, right? And sometimes they're agitated, they're irritable, especially if they're needing kind of a fix. Sometimes they're sick, but sometimes they're irritable. So I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry." I was like, I can't buy the coffee maker. I don't have enough, but this is the change I have. I thought you were asking me to put it in the cup, bro. I'm really sorry. He's like, "That's all right." He's like, "That's all right. That's all right." And I go, "I'm sorry, man. I can't buy a coffee maker." I said, "But here, I can give you my belt." So I give him my belt. He was very thankful. He was like, "Oh, thank you," And then in the middle of him saying thank you, he noticed someone else like coming down the street, and he, was like, "Hey, you want to buy a coffee maker?" Right? Like, "Hey, man, you go get your hustle on. I get it. I get it." I would not want my sons to be in that situation. But I kind of do. I kind of do want them to do that. But I want maybe they could have those interactions in a little more safe environment. Anyway, if I'm not mistaken, this is episode 100 of the Tone Jiggy podcast. And I feel that I like that this is what we did for episode 100 because I'm looking back through the videos here. It feels like, yeah, this is going to be episode 100. I think I hit on just like kind of the mission statement of my life at this point. And we hit on some things that I feel passionately about. And I like that there's like a marker of the early Tone Jiggy podcasts, which are like audio only, and now this one. And it's just out there now. It's like, this is HW right now, working on some great stuff. And that's just what it is. So, and the Tone Jiggy podcast for me, we're still doing Guitar Friends, when we have time. But the Tone Jiggy podcast for me is just an opportunity to just like start babbling about stuff that I have an idea for, and then to just like go, "Yep." And now that's that. And whatever happens, happens. Like we talked about some stuff that is sufficiently not guitar related. But, yeah. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. If you want to buy something on the website, that always helps. That always supports me. And, but we have some really great free stuff too. If you can't afford anything right now, we got some free stuff. God has been good to me, and you guys have been good to me. Thank you very much. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. What a journey, what a wild journey it's been. And I feel like there were times where I've lost the whole point of things. And somewhere in this late 30s, I think you start asking yourself, what do you really want? And like, it's not a Lamborghini. Cybertrucks are cool. I might drive one of those one day, but it's just to feel like you did a good job. You helped people. You made a way for yours. You helped others. And, at the end of the day, you left the great campsite that is this world a little nicer than you found it. You stood up for something. You were positive in someone's life. And you weren't the thing that messed people up, And maybe whatever messed you up a little, you repaired some of that and you didn't let it pass on. I like that. I like that. Oh man, my water. I still laugh at that all the time, man. Poor guy. And the sobering reality, of all those funny stories I tell, most of those people on the other end of the stories and most of the people I have like positive experiences, anybody I'm recalling in these stories is dead. They're dead. They died on the streets. The streets kill people. It really does. You meet some people who are, if you meet someone on the street who's lived there for a decade or two, you're meeting the 0.1% toughest people that exist. Humans, because it's a rough life. All right, Tone Jiggy Podcast 100. Thanks for listening.